So we're in the first volume of the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and the chapter is called Beyond the Lower East Side. Prabhupada in New York in the early days. So we'll just... Breakfast was served every morning in the storefront. Either Achyutananda or Kirtanananda would cook an oatmeal cereal for the devotees. Satsvarupa had read in an English edition of the Ramayana about some sages preparing a mystical cereal called heavenly porridge.
It's really fast.
The name...
It's quite fast.
Yeah.
A little bit slower?
Okay.
No?
Yeah, yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah, sure. The name had caught on, and the devotees began calling their own cereal heavenly porridge. The popular fare would consist of steaming hot heavenly porridge, sweetened to taste with sugar syrup from the gulab jamun pot, hot milk and fruit. And each devotee would get an ISKCON bullet. What is ISKCON bullet? Gulab jamun. At breakfast this morning, the talk was of Rupa and Sanatana. Umapati said the Chaitanya Charitamrita was available in an English translation, but maybe the Swami wouldn't want them to read it. We'll hear it from Swamiji, Kirtanananda said. Hayagriva was amused at the cliffhanger ending of the class. Tune in tomorrow, he laughed loosely, and hear what happened to, what's his name? The devotees responded differently. Santan, Sonoton, Sanatan, Hayagriva, yeah, tune in tomorrow and hear. Will Sanatan get out of jail? They were not the most sober group when together, especially after taking the thick, sweet syrup. Achyutananda spilled some of the syrup on the rug, and Kirtanananda admonished him. Jadurani ate silently and hurried to begin a day's painting in Prabhupada's room. Satsvarupa adjusted his tie, and he and Rupanuga and Brahmananda went to their jobs. The next morning, the Chaitanya Charitamrita seminar began with Sanatana in jail, planning how to get free to Lord Chaitanya. His brother Rupa sent him a note saying that he had left a large sum of gold for Sanatan in the care of a grocer, and Sanatan offered the gold to the jailer as a bribe. He told him, "Sir, I know you are a very learned man, and in your Quran it says that if you aid someone in going to spiritual life, then you will be elevated to the highest post. I am going to Lord Chaitanya, and if you will assist me in escaping, it will be spiritual gain for you also. Also, I will give you 500 gold coins, so it will be material gain as well." The jail keeper said, "All right, but I am afraid of the king." So Sanatan advised him, "Just say that when I was passing Stool by the river, I fell in with my chains and was washed away." For 700 gold coins, the jailer agreed to help Sanatan and sawed off the shackles. Sanatana, accompanied by his servant, then fled by the back roads until night time he came upon a hotel. Now this hotel was kept by thieves, and an astrologer at the hotel read Sanatan's palm and judged by the stars that he had money. When Sanatan asked for assistance, in passing over the jungle mountains, the hotel keeper said that he would help Sanatan leave in the dead of the night. They treated Sanatan with great respect, which made him suspicious, since he hadn't eaten in 3 days and his clothes were unclean. So he asked his servant if he had any money. The servant said yes, he had 7 gold coins. And Sanatan immediately took the money to the hotel keeper, who was already planning to kill him during the night and take his money. Swamiji looked at his watch. Again, they had gone over time. So, we will continue tomorrow, he said, closing the book. How Sanatan manages to escape the dacoits. Kirtanananda, Brahmananda, Achyutananda, Gargamuni, Satsvarupa, Hayagriva, Umapati, Jadurani, Rupanuga, Damodar, Dan Clark. Their lives had all been transformed. Over the months, they had transferred the center of their lives to Swamiji, and everything revolved around the routine of classes and kirtan and prasadam and coming and going to and from the storefront. Brahmananda and Gargamuni had given up their apartment several months ago and moved into the storefront. The ceiling of Achyutananda's apartment had caved in one day, just minutes after he had left the room, and he had decided to move to the storefront also. Hayagriva and Umapati had cleaned up their Mott Street place and were using it only for chanting, sleeping, or reading Swamiji's Bhagavatam. So I just had like a small realization, is that it's saying, listed all these devotees, and it's saying their lives had become transformed, and the center of their lives was now Swamiji, who was Srila Prabhupada, and everything revolved around the classes, the kirtan, the prasadam, and coming and going from the storefront. So I'm still assuming that the storefront is 26 2nd Avenue. And I was just thinking about my own life, and when I was beginning to go to some, programs, and when I was in university. So I guess it's the mood of a preaching center, so 26 2nd Avenue. Although it's the first temple, but it's kind of like, in some ways, in the mood of, nowadays it's in the mood of a preaching center compared to our, how we can say, temples, where the programs might be a bit different. So in the university, when I was attending the programs every Sunday Love Feast, it was just in some rooms in the university, and there'd be a range of different people from different backgrounds, some students, some local people, and it was very simple. But I remember when I was beginning to go to those programs, I may have had a little bit of stress or distress in my life, and then I found my way to the Hare Krishna programs, and found some relief and found some satisfaction there. And although the programs might have been only, once a week, or once or twice a week, it seemed like that was my main interest in life now. Although my university study had to carry on, it felt like just doing that as kind of like a duty, kind of like acting, when you have to interact with different people, especially when we're transitioning from just general materialistic association And then when we start to associate with devotees, then it feels like devotee association is like real interaction, and sometimes we might not even feel like interacting with the material world or material friends, material association, but sometimes we, because of our occupation, we might still have to interact with the world, which is normal. But in some ways it feels like a bit of a duty, a bit of an act sometimes, because when your life becomes transformed and then everything becomes centered around the Krishna consciousness process. I'm not saying I've fully achieved that or fully realized that by any means, but it just reminded me of that feeling. So that's just. Anyone want to share anything on that point about what it was like for them when they first started to come to some programs or to meet devotees? What it was like, that transition? How did you feel the difference? Any realizations?
So I want to share something.
Mm-hmm.
When I first time came here, it was for the Safe Soul events.
Mm.
So I had no idea there's a temple and there's a Krishna consciousness. I didn't know anything, but I can feel there's a kind of a harmony here between people, and this whole place is just like another world. So that makes me want to come again and again and again. But that time I have my limitation, a lot of limitation, judgment. So when I'm in that state, I come here and I feel like I'm judged by people also. So kind of I cannot open my heart fully. So when I come to the morning lesson, you want a book? No, it's not for me. And when everybody chants a mantra, I think I listen, it's okay, but I don't want to sing. But somehow I'm pushed to come here once, twice, and now it's 4 years. And I see, wow, each time the transformation is just incredible. And to live here with all of you, all of you are my inspirations, and you, each of you are like my, if I don't say master, like my teachers. So I can always learn something from each person, from different aspects of how you are. And this morning, I was in the room beside. I do my Shambhavi practice, and there's a realization very, very profound. And I just realized your presence, each person of here, even in the life, for me, it's like empowerment. That's why when I see each of you, I cannot stop to cry, because it touched me so much. Your presence, just your presence. You don't even need to talk to me, just you here, and it brings me so much eternally.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Anyone else who wants to say anything? Yes, Mataji.
I didn't meet a preaching center, but I met the devotees in New York. I had left my job and I was traveling all over the place, hitchhiking in Central America. But then when I got to New York, after 2 days in New York, I met the devotees in Central Park. And they were giving invitation. And I saw free feast. So I went there, but I did not understand too much. But I was looking for something, so the prashadam, they gave me so much prashadam because it was John Master's time. And then I stayed a few days, sleeping there, but still not too much understanding, but seeing that the devotees also. And when I decided to keep traveling, they did not let me travel. They put me on the plane to Montreal. And then some devotee were at the airport to pick me up. And slowly I starting. But one thing I did from beginning, I don't know if it's your case, but I started chanting Hare Krishna. Seriously, the 16 rounds. And because of that, they put me on the plane, actually. The president actually, I saw a class from him in Vrindavan, I think, a few days ago. His name is Mishinga, something Mishinga, and I really owe him so much to that devotee. He really is like gambling on me, you know. Maybe or maybe not, but he invested on me in such a way, just because I was chanting Krishna.
Thank you. So we'll just read a bit more. Satsvarupa had announced one day that the devotees could use his apartment just around the corner from the temple for taking showers, and the next day Raya Ram had moved in, and the others began using the apartment as a temple annex. Jadurani kept making her early morning treks from the Bronx. Swamiji had said that he had no objection to her living in the second room of his apartment, but that people would talk. What does that mean? So Jadurani kept making her early morning treks from the Bronx, and in brackets it says, Swamiji had said that he had no objection to her living in the second room of his apartment, but that people would talk.
It means it's not standard practice, and people would not ever talk about, is that right? And that people would talk because a man and a woman are in the same apartment.
Sorry. Yes. Okay, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
So I think it means that a man and woman they would talk because a man and a woman are in the same building, and it's not appropriate.
Yeah, Mataji was going to say something.
Actually, she told me the story. She said when Papa asked her, where do you live? And she said, not far. And he said, oh, then you can come every morning. And she did. She came every morning, but she had an hour and a half train to come. So finally, when Papa found out, he said we of course, you know. The tradition is like you don't mix, especially
Sannyasi.
or a man or with a young girl.
Yeah, amazing. Even Rupanuga and Damodar, whose backgrounds and tastes were different, were also positively dependent on the daily morning class and the evening class 3 nights a week, and in knowing that Swamiji was always there in his apartment whenever they needed him. There were, however, some threats to this security. Prabhupada would sometimes say that unless he got permanent residency from the government, he would have to leave the country. But he had gone to a lawyer, and after the initial alarm, it seemed that Swamiji would stay indefinitely. There was also the threat that he might go to San Francisco. He said he was going, but then sometimes he said he wasn't. If the negotiations through Mr. Price for the building on 10th Street came through, then Swamiji said he would make his headquarters in New York City and not go to San Francisco. But at least in the morning sessions, as his disciples listened to him speak on Chaitanya Charitamrita, these threats were all put out of mind, and the timeless, intimate teachings took up their full attention. Krishna consciousness was a struggle, keeping yourself strictly following Swamiji's code against Maya. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating. But it was possible as long as they could hear him singing and reading and speaking from Chaitanya Charitamrita. They counted on his presence for their Krishna consciousness. He was the center of their newly spiritualized lives, and he was all they knew of Krishna consciousness. As long as they could keep coming and seeing him, Krishna consciousness was a sure thing, as long as he was there. this sentence where it says, they counted on his presence for their Krishna consciousness. How do you say that? I don't know if it's complicated. That reverberates with me in the sense that I feel a similar thing. I felt like, although we hear that the instructions of the spiritual master are more important than the body or the physical form, for me, I also felt like I counted on the physical presence of my spiritual master for my Krishna consciousness. When I was traveling with Maharaj several years ago, at that time I was quite new and didn't have much experience. So basically most of the things I learned was directly from Maharaj. I remember one time in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, in the morning program, and it was time for Tulsi Arti. So Maharaj asked me to sing, but I didn't know the words really. So he stood there and held the book for me, while I'm trying to sing Tulsi Arti. So it's just one small example, many examples. And then after some time, when I stopped my service, the day we parted ways at the airport, and it was in Auckland, it was like March 2020 at the airport in Auckland, New Zealand. And so Maharaj was continuing his travel and I was going to stay behind in New Zealand. It's like as soon as Maharaj left, someone turned off the switch of my Krishna consciousness. And even chanting just became so difficult. So that's just my really personal realization on when I read that sentence. It just reminded me of that. Okay. Seated on the worn rug, they looked up at him, waiting for him to begin the next installment. Prabhupada cleared his throat and glanced down at Brahmananda, who sat beside the silently running tape recorder. Satsvarupa entered the date in his notebook. Prabhupada began reading the Bengali verses and paraphrasing. Sanatana took the 7 gold coins from his servant and gave them to the hotel keeper. You have 8 coins, the astrologer said. And Sanatan went back and found that his servant was retaining another gold coin. Why do you carry this death knell on the road? Sanatan asked. You are too attached to money. And he took the gold piece from his servant and told him to return home. Sanatan then brought the gold coin to the hotel keeper. But the hotel keeper, who admitted that he had intended to kill Sanatan for his money, now said, You are a good man, and you may keep your money. But Sanatan refused. Then the hotel keeper provided Sanatan with 4 assistants. They helped Sanatan through the jungle and then left him alone. Free from his nuisance servant and from the dacoits. That just reminded me of another thing, is that in devotional service or serving a senior devotee or serving the spiritual master, I can say personally that especially towards the spiritual master, we're meant to try to surrender everything and give everything. But I definitely noticed in myself this tendency to, yes, you give what seems like something, everything, but still holding on to something for yourself. Can be little things, even like prasadam. you serve Maharaj some prasadam, but keep a little bit for yourself on the side. So unfortunately, I had this tendency, and my realization is, when you mix your own personal desires into the service, then it just becomes more complicated and it can get messy. And yeah, I've got quite a few examples of that actually. Because if you're able to fully surrender and give everything, then in some ways your mind is peaceful. You don't have to worry about anything. You just accept whatever comes by Krishna's mercy. But if you try to hold on to something a little bit for yourself, then you're always worried that, I hope no one finds out, or I hope no one steals my samosa or something which I've kept aside, or so. Although you're trying to do your service, but your mind is not peaceful because you're always worrying about when I will get my reward or my satisfaction or my whatever you call it. Yeah. So this pastime and this reading has just reminded me of that as well. Free from this nuisance servant and from the dacoits. So when I read that, so maybe that's how Maharaj felt as well. And you're free from the nuisance servant and from the dacoits. Sanatan felt liberated as he passed along the road alone. Soon he came upon his brother-in-law, who was travelling along the same road. His brother-in-law was a wealthy man, carrying a great deal of money to buy horses. "Please stay with me at least a few days," Sanatan's brother-in-law said. "It's really bad how you look." The brother-in-law knew that Sanatan was going to spiritual life, but he requested that he improve his dress by accepting a valuable blanket from him. Sanatan took the blanket and continued on his way. At last, Sanatan reached Benares, and he went straight to the home of Chandrasekhar, where Lord Chaitanya was staying, and waited outside the door. Lord Chaitanya knew Sanatan had arrived, and he requested Chandrasekhar to go to the door and ask the devotee who was waiting there to come in. Chandrasekhar went out, but saw only the wretched-looking Sanatan, whom he took to be a half-mad Mohammedan fakir. Chandrasekhar returned to Lord Chaitanya and explained that there was no devotee outside. "Was there anyone at all?" the Lord asked. "Yes," said Chandrasekhar, "some wretched fakir." Then Lord Chaitanya went to the door and embraced Sanatan. The Lord cried tears of ecstasy, for he had at last found a devotee whom he knew was worthy to receive his entire teachings. And Sanatan cried tears of joy that his life's ambition was being fulfilled. But because he was dirty from his travelling and not worthy, he asked the Lord not to touch him. The Lord replied, "It is I who benefit from touching you. Whoever touches a true devotee is blessed." Prabhupada closed the book, ending another morning session. Okay, maybe we'll finish the reading there. So we'll just quickly summarize. Maybe just basically with 2 pages, but yeah, 2 or 3 pages. So we started off the reading describing about how breakfast was served every morning in the storefront, and what was the name of the preparation.
Heavenly porridge?
Heavenly porridge. Yeah. Just like in New Mayapur, yeah? Heavenly porridge. Yeah, so that was the name. Steaming hot heavenly porridge. And what did they use to sweeten the porridge?
The gulab, leftover juice.
Yeah. Sweetened to taste the sugar syrup from the gulab jamun pot. And does anyone remember what else they had for breakfast? So they had the porridge.
Not bullets.
Each devotee would get a bullet. And there's two other things listed here. We also have them on the menu here usually, every morning.
Milk, hot milk.
Hot milk. Fruit. Yeah. So,
Bullet?
yeah, bullet. Porridge, hot milk, fruit, and bullet. Yeah. Okay. And much of the reading included, Prabhupada was reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the pastime Sanatana Goswami in jail and how he got free to join Lord Chaitanya. So, just very briefly, can anyone say, how did Sanatana Goswami get free from the jail?
Spoke to the jail keeper. He said to him that you are a very pious man. I'm going to Makkah. You can free me. That tell them that I went to the toilet to the Yamuna. And then Yamuna or Ganga? Riverside.
And it just says river.
River, yeah. Because this did happen in Mayapur. Yeah, he uses diplomacy there, but he says, I will give him 7 gold. No, that was in a different place. 7 gold coins come later. But he's asking about what did he tell the Muslim jail keeper?
Yeah, that's right. He said that he said you are a very learned man, and in your Quran it says that if you aid someone in going to spiritual life, you will be elevated to the highest post. And also he offered him some money, isn't it? 500 gold coins. And so he agreed, but he agreed for 700 gold coins. Yeah.
But this is Sanatana Goswami giving him.
Yeah, so my understanding is that
see, Rupa Goswami kept the treasure of money. I mean, I know probably it's differently quoted here.
Yeah.
Just my understanding from Chaitanya Charitamrita is Rupa Goswami had, I don't know, God knows, a lot of gold coins. Half were divided, and he told Sanatana Goswami that this money, half of it, is kept with a shopkeeper for you to escape. Rupa Goswami planned everything for Sanatana Goswami to explain. So he had a certain number of gold coins, whatever he said, that he paid to the jail guard to take this money and release me.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, and then the reading talked a little bit about the different devotees, Kirtananda, Chitananda, etc. How they
Derek Clark or something?
Dan Clark, yeah. So they were all saying how their lives were transformed, and now Prabhupada was the center of their life. And somewhere it said that the Satsvarupa or someone was fixing up their tie. I see it, but
Before going to work, they were working.
yeah, exactly.
They were actually social workers.
Yeah. So that was also like I had the same similar connected to what I was saying before about, they're still kind of at that stage living and working in the world, but Prabhupada had become the center of their life. Really, I guess also.
And they were giving their money.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Looking for contact.
Similar to Jayananda Prabhu, I guess, who was actually well liked by members of the public. Sometimes devotees are not really liked by the public, but Jayananda was loved by everyone, and he was, working and living and interacting with people in the world, and I guess by his love he was engaging them in Krishna's service as well. Yeah. Okay, so then we talked a bit about that. Then Prabhupada was reading about the when Sanatan and his servant came to the hotel, and they have an astrologer. They were planning to kill and take the money. We read about that. And then at last Sanatan reached Benares and went to the home of Chandrasekhar where Lord Chaitanya was staying. And after the Lord embraced Sanatan, he said, "It is I who benefit from touching you. Whoever touches a true devotee is blessed." Prabhupada closed the book, ending another morning session. So, just a brief summary. Any final comments from anyone?
I was remembering of surrender. You were talking about surrender. And I was just thinking of Draupadi.
Ah, yeah.
How
That's a good
she
example.
was first holding on and calling to everybody in the audience. They couldn't help her. And she, this one, each one, even Bhima, she looked at him, couldn't do anything. Then one hand, and then eventually both hands. And then she said, Krishna, why you didn't come? And because you were asking this one, that one, you were holding on. So I was waiting. And as soon as she just gave everything up and she fully surrendered, and Krishna provided miracle.
Yeah, that's probably the best example. Thank you.
Surrender.
Yeah, best example.
You've got like a visual image.
Yeah.
Very symbolic of doing that, asking you from, and it's just going back.
Coming back to that pastime where Lord Chaitanya goes, he was staying at the house of Chandrasekharacharya. Chandrasekharacharya is very special. Lord Chaitanya was in Benares. He was staying at the house of Chandrasekharacharya and taking prasadam at the house of Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra is the father of one of the Goswamis. They're still in Banaras, right? This is Varanasi. All the Mayavadi sannyasis were criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rasikananda Saraswati, they were joking why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing like a madman on the streets, he doesn't know Vedanta. When they heard this criticism, what they decided to do, both of them? Anybody? They wanted to commit suicide. They said, we cannot tolerate this anymore. They both were so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his demeanor. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denies it, don't do it. So, Chandrasekharacharya. I think it was Tapan Mishra who received the Maha Mantra first from Lord Chaitanya in his dream. I think is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's father. Tapan Mishra is one of the Goswami's father.
Gopal Bhatta.
Gopal Bhatta is South India, no? Gopal Bhatta is South India. Gopal Bhatta is from Venkata Bhatta, Tirumala Bhatta, Prabhu Saraswati. They are from South India. This is, I think it's Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. It's quite amazing, these pastimes of Goswamis. Tapan Mishra receives the Maha Mantra in his dream. It was, he said, the dream, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals himself that I am the Supreme Lord, and soon I am going to start my Sankirtan Yagya. I don't want you to reveal this to anybody yet. He said, keep it confidential. He was confused. He was reading so many books, Tapan Mishra. He didn't know what is the conclusion of the Vedas, who to worship, who not to worship. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like, I'm here, I am Krishna, I am Supreme, so I'm come here to help you, so don't worry, So, yeah, quite amazing pastime in that section.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Alright. So
Rasikananda Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna. So we have kirtan starting at 10 o'clock in the temple room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Revati. Revati is making the jug sparkle.
Wow.
Devotees will devotees, when they come, they can always let us know for service, because we have so much to do and we have so little hands. Thank you, Revati.
Thank you, Prabhu.